We're with Adam Feldman. Adam is a criminal defense attorney in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's agreed to answer some questions related to theft and theft offenses. With that said, Adam, let's go into our first question that was posted. What is your experience level in handling theft cases?
Vast, to sum it up in one word. So theft really runs this huge gambit of different types of crimes, from your simple shoplifting, candy bar at a Circle K, all the way up to huge fraud schemes where you're embezzling hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from companies. And I've handled all of that. Going back even a little bit, so I started off as a prosecutor. The first 2 years of my career, I was a county prosecutor, and in doing that, you prosecute cases from anywhere from misdemeanors to high-level felonies. And thefts are those general types of crimes that the prosecutors specifically handle. Now, a lot of the other types of crimes might get divided out, sex crimes or drug crimes, but theft is general enough that every prosecutor is going to handle those cases. So my career started off in learning how to prosecute all these different types of theft cases, and then that transferred over into my criminal defense career in representing people in these theft cases. I can't really put a number on it. Hundreds, thousands of theft cases in the years of my career. And like I said, they really do range in complexity, but I've handled them all. The easiest ones we handle are, a lot of times we get local kids or college kids even just stealing little things here and there, and those are charged as misdemeanors. So you'll see those in the city courts or the justice courts out here. But I've also handled high-level, white-collar defenses that really equate to theft. When you boil it down, it might be charged as fraud schemes, it might be charged as embezzlement, all different things, but when you boil it down, it's theft. Somebody is stealing hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from somebody else, and that's what we do. But to answer the question, I've handled plenty of these cases and done so successfully.
Okay, next question. Your website says you offer a free consultation, but how much do you charge for cases? My husband is facing a single burglary charge, and he does not have a record.
So I would want to get a little more information about that. And what I explain with every type of charge is that each case is very fact specific. There are a lot of attorneys out there who like to do the one-size-fits-all type of fee agreement. Perhaps they'll say a theft is $5,000, a burglary is $10,000. Doesn't even matter what the facts of the case are. The problem is that I don't think that's really fair for the consumer. It's kind of like dental work. If you went to a dentist and they said, anytime you come in, it's going to cost $1,000. Well, what if you only needed a cleaning versus what if you needed a mouthful of repair? So one dentist visit shouldn't be just a simple price. And it's the same thing here. A simple burglary, even though there's no criminal history, could be very different. A couple questions that come to mind. Were there co-defendants involved? Was this a planned type of burglary of an establishment, like a business, or was this a home invasion? Were there guns used? Were there any types of weapons used? Not necessarily even a gun, but a knife or a bat. How did they gain entry into the home? Did they have a key, or did they have to break into the home? If they had a key, how did they get this key? Were they an employee of the establishment or of the home or something like that? I mean, these are all types of facts that I would take into consideration when trying to assess what the appropriate price is. So unfortunately, I can't answer the question outright because it leads me to several questions that I would have that I would want to discuss with you first before giving you a quote.
Okay, makes sense. Next question is, my wife is being charged with identity theft. Is she going to end up with a felony?
Well, I hate to do this, to ask a question, to answer your question, but there's a lot more to it. So one of the questions I would have, does she have a criminal history? If she has a substantial criminal history, to be honest with you, our goal is sure, we would love to avoid another felony on her record, but our biggest concern is to keep her out of prison. So I can't quite answer that without knowing the true details of the case. Here's what I'll tell you about the county attorneys, or sometimes people will call them the district attorneys in Arizona. For the most part, they want you to keep felonies on your record. So they want to create some sort of negotiations where you keep a felony on your record forever. Now, the flip side is that we don't want you to have a felony on your record. So we're always trying to create a situation where it either starts off as a misdemeanor or you can earn a misdemeanor. And we're usually very successful with that, especially if you have no criminal history. So it's a very fact-specific question that I would just need more information to fully elaborate on.
Okay, next question. My son has been charged with robbery, but then they added all types of additional charges: credit card theft, forgery, possession of stolen property, and a few others that I'm not sure about. With this many charges, is he for sure going to prison? If I hire an attorney, what are they going to do?
Okay, so the first question, is he for sure going to prison? The answer is no. Nobody is for sure going to prison, whether the charge is murder or rape or robbery. That's what a good defense attorney is all about. We want to take even the hardest cases and make winners of them, and that's my goal. So then the question is, what does an attorney do? Well, every case is different, but for the most part, there are varieties. The first thing we do is client contact, and family contact is huge. I want to talk to my client, the defendant, and really understand what happened. A lot of times somebody is far less involved than maybe one of the co-defendants, or maybe was pressured into a situation. Those are things that we can pick up on. The next thing that we're doing is trying to get input from the family. I want to learn as much about my client from other people as possible. All of the good things that he's achieved in his life, from schooling, education, employment, charity, any other social services, anything that person's done that distinguish him, it helps me help him. So the contact with the family is important. And then when it comes to the nitty-gritty of the case, one of the things that we're doing is we're getting all of the police reports associated with this. And if there are any supplements, if there are any, if there's scientific evidence such as fingerprint analysis or DNA analysis, we need to get that. We need to explore that. Oftentimes when there is expert analysis, then we have to hire our own experts to combat what they've said. There's usually audio or video associated with every case, and we need to obtain that, review that. For example, whenever a person's interviewed, the odds are there's going to be an audio video recording of that interview. A lot of times, especially with robberies, there's usually some sort of either home surveillance or business surveillance. So that can oftentimes be a make or break part of the case, so we need to get a hold of that as well. And then once we've obtained everything that the state has, basically you're continuing the investigation, and you are interviewing all of the people that have already been interviewed and associated with the case. And sometimes you can find some just complete gems in doing that, things that the state missed, or items that really help defend our client. So that's kind of wrapping what we do in a nutshell, but I hope that answers your question.
Okay, the final question we have is, I've been bailed out on an auto theft charge, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford an attorney. How do payment plans work with you?
If I were to say standard, I offer a quote. Well, the first thing I do is I try to understand what the case is about. Then what I do is I'll offer a reasonable quote, and typically speaking, I'll take half of that amount up front, and then we'll try to work the remaining balance out anywhere from 3 to 5 months. With that said, every case is different, and everybody's financial situation is different. Since I am the owner of the law firm, I do have a lot of flexibility in working out these payment plans. But that said, like any business, we need to make sure that the bill is paid off in a timely manner, and we really do try to make sure that the bill is paid off before the case is over. A typical case is going to last just about 6 months or so. So you can kind of assume that if there's a payment plan, it's going to be over the course of 6 months. That said, some cases are more complex than others. I do have, theft-related cases, things like that can go on for a year, even longer than a year. So depending on that, we might be able to stretch the payment plan even further. So I hope that helps.
Okay, excellent. Well, if you have any other questions for Adam, all you need to do is post them in the comment section below. With that said, Adam, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. And really, every one of these theft-related cases, they're really different. The best thing to do is give me a call, 602-540-7887. The call is free. The consultation is free. And that way we can really understand a little bit more about the case. I can make sure you have all the information you need to know so you can make that next step. I appreciate the questions and keep them coming.
All right. Thanks, Adam.